Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the show. I'm Louise H. Reed with another awesome guest for you today. As you know, each week I invite you to sit in on a new conversation with a new guest where we get level, bringing you real people, real issues, and real conversations. My hope is that you walk away from the show inspired and equipped to level up in your own life and leadership. If you want a best or a copy of the best of notes and quotes from this show, please subscribe to my email list at louisehreed.com. Now, without further ado, allow me to introduce you to today's guest. We have with us Teri, and I've totally forgotten Teri's last name.
So Carden.
Carden. I'm sorry, Teri. Today we have Teri Carden. Teri is a self-described geek girl in normal girls clothing. She has been in the association industry for more than 10 years, and along the way has had the good fortune of being able to rub elbows with the association industry's finest executives. With the support of her mentors, colleagues, volunteer leaders, and bosses during her association career, she was able to fulfill her incessant desire to geek out at work. This meant selecting, testing, and implementing new software and technologies, stretching to new marketing heights with eye-catching campaigns, introducing video and social media before it was cool, and jumping headfirst into the mobile world. Teri is now on her own, serving the incredible association industry as founder of ReviewMyAMS.com and 100 Reviews. She is also the creator of two niche industry events, AMS Fest and Non-Dues-a-Palooza. When not face-to-face with a computer screen, Teri loves to cook, hike, play games with her kids, explore craft cocktail bars, visit the beach, and enjoy time with her family and friends. Teri Carden, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Louise. Thank you. I used to love visiting craft cocktail bars. Not really as often anymore is what I would like for it to be.
Yeah, it will be back. It will be back. I have to ask you to share with us what are ReviewMyAMS.com and 100 Reviews. Then we're gonna dig under the hood and get into all the journey experiences stuff.
So we'll get the logistical geeky stuff out of the way first, right?
Exactly.
People are review my yams? What is that? I don't even know what that is. So AMS stands for Association Management Software. So once upon a time, I sat on the association executives side of the table. So I was the one making the decisions for new softwares to bring to our membership, new solutions to bring the staff to be more efficient and more effective with work. And so I was the one implementing and selecting new software. Well, one day when I knew it was inevitable that I was no longer going to be working with my association as a marketing and technology director, I had a conversation with someone and they said, Teri, it's like you have your finger on the pulse of what's going on in the association management software, world. Can you help me out? Tell me what's going on here. And I was like, sure. And we had a very candid conversation and I put the phone down. I was like, how does she not know about what's going on here? I feel like everybody knows. I don't feel like I've got my finger on the pulse of anything here. It's nothing unique, not really a unique conversation. And I said out loud, it was almost like we need a review site or a Yelp for association management software. And then I couldn't sleep at night. And then I was like, okay, maybe there's something here. Maybe other people need to have a hub or a place or a TripAdvisor or a Yelp-like experience so that they can see what other people are saying about their experiences with their software company. And so thought about it and I was like, well, crap, I think this is actually a good idea, but how do you really know unless you talk to people in the marketplace? So I went to a technology conference that I went to every single year. It's the association, of all associations technology conference. And I just lobby conned it, which means, for those of you who don't know, you sit in the lobby the whole entire conference. You might pay full registration price, but your whole job is to meet and get to know people in an informal setting in the hallways, right? So I sat there with my trusty iPad, and I would just sit down next to some innocent person, technology guy, and just say like, hey dude, so I'm thinking about this review site for AMS. And he'd be like, that's exactly why I'm here at this conference, is I need more information on all of these vendors. I mean, I can go to all of the booths here on the show floor, but I'm not really giving I'm not really getting the real opinions from other people that look like me. And I would love to have this data. And I'm like, okay, well, were you willing to fill out this form? That's it. Like, are you actually willing to share your own opinions so you can get the opinions of others? And he's like, yeah, sure. So I walked away from that conference with 100, it was like a focus group for me. I walked away with 100 association people who were like, yes, absolutely, you have to do this. I even had a consultant tell me, if you don't do this idea, I'm going to take this idea from you. And of course, I'm instantly over there, like scrambling, grabbing domains, and next thing you know, Review My AMS was born. And here we are 7 years later. Oh my gosh, Louise, like that's crazy. It blows my mind. 7 years later, more than 1,000 reviews on about 70 different software solutions. And one of the coolest things that ever happened to me in this journey of building that product was whenever I would kind of explain the situation to vendors, like, okay, there's this reviews portal, and your clients are going to be able to go on and give a happy review if they're happy, or maybe a side thumb, you're not doing so great, or maybe you actually get a down thumb, how are you really doing? And I had one guy put his finger in my face and actually tell me it was not going to work. And he said, it's like building houses, they're all different. And I'm like, yeah, but we all have a story to tell. And 2 years later, he was forking money over to be a part of the site. And then I had another CEO who was the biggest venture VC-backed software company in our space. He asked me to come for beers one night, and he said, I got to tell you, this new round of funding I got, he said a lot of where that money went was because what people were saying on the review site and what was coming about by what we were finding out from our clients on the reviews portal. And so it actually had them pivot their entire business based on the information that they were getting. And that is so freaking rewarding.
Wow. Talk about validation.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Took a while.
It took a while to get there, but.
Well, it does though. So when was that? You're what into the business?
That about 2 years into the business, I was hitting six figures. So that was when the business had kind of hit a sustaining point where I was no longer scraping for the leftover ramen noodles in the back of the corner of the cupboard to feed my children, So, and now we have 21 annual supporters. So
incredible.
Yeah,
Incredible. This wasn't your first rodeo though, was it?
Well,
in entrepreneurship. So what did you learn? What are those, that's not skills. It's like, it's in you, I guess is what I'm getting at. It is in you to create, to build, to innovate, and not so much be a body sitting at a desk for someone else, completing someone else's vision.
Yeah. So when I was at my in my association job, in my association role, I always took my job seriously, and as far as I'm concerned, every single person is a salesperson. Whatever you're doing, you need to be propelling the organization forward, and I took that role pretty seriously. So think back when I was working for the Florida Society of Association Executives. We were the association of association professionals in Florida. Okay. So our members were the likes of the executive director from the Florida Bar Association, the Florida Real Estate Association, you figure out all the association executives, those were our members. Well, the oil spill happened. And all of not all, because we can't use terms like all and always, can we? But a lot of our revenue came from the hotels that were supporting our organization. and what happened to the hotels when the oil spill came through. I mean, it was like a complete domino effect. Our sponsorship dollars from them completely fell off because their sales were falling off because people didn't want to visit Florida. And we were all sitting there holding the bag going like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? Are we going to lose our jobs? There were 5 of us on staff and we're going, what are we going to do? So we kind of took it upon ourselves, and I like to think I had a big part in playing this game, but since I was the technology person on staff, I was very well connected with some of the other technology people in our industry. And I just picked up the phone and I'm like, what would you think about coming to our conference under the auspice of like being like a tech conference, sort of like, would you consider coming to something called Meet the Geeks, where it's like this big group of like exhibitors with tables and like nice booths and stuff, and you could come to the space and you could get a pair of geeky glasses, and you know, the association people could actually meet the technology vendors, because technology vendors were not frequenting our conference at all. And it only took 20 phone calls. The first year, I think we had 12 new vendors giving revenue to the organization that had never been revenue that had ever been seen before. And then it grew to, I think, 20 and 25. And then next thing you know, it was something that was going on for several years. And it was a new source of revenue. But I'm not going to lie, Louise, I was like, I am doing all the freaking work here. I'm doing all the work, and the association's getting it all.
Yeah.
I was making all these sales of $5,000 and $10,000 a pop, and times 20, and I was walking away with my little job. And there was something about that just kind of sparked something in me to say like, no, girlfriend, you got to find something, you know, because I take a lot of pride and ownership in what I do too. So it felt very much like it was mine, but within the organization. And so I like to think I took, I like to think I took some of those skills and picking up the phone and calling these people and developing real partnerships, not just, oh, you're going to slap your logo up on the website and then you're going to show up. No, these are people that are showing a vested interest in something new, and you really need to be able to give back and find out what they need specifically. You know, when you're selling something like in a conference or sponsorship situation, you could get 3 things. What do they want? They either want brand awareness, they want leads, or they want to be a content curator or a thought leader. They want one of those 3 things. And if we could tap into finding out what those people wanted, then we were able to give them the best show they had ever had.
I love what you said about, you know, you wanted real partnerships. It's not a transaction.
Exactly.
It's not a transaction. In the space that you're in, or even entrepreneurship in general, I think that we need, not your space specifically, actually, now that I say, I was going to ask, what do you think we need to get real about? I think there are a lot of conversations that we need to be able to get more honest and real about for things to really move forward. So whether it's the association field, or whether it's entrepreneurship, whether it's women in business, when I ask you what's something we need to get more real about, what comes to mind?
Well, what I say is going to be super meta, but
then I'm going to love it.
I really think this is true. I held an event that went virtual last week. Okay. And in the middle of this event, one of my colleagues sent me a message and she said, your vulnerability is winning. And the next few days, I attended another conference where I listened to Priya Parker, who wrote The Art of Gathering. And I looked at her and I was like, her vulnerability is winning right now. It's winning all over the place. So you're like, so your question was, where should we be keeping it real? The meta part of that is like, we should be keeping it real. We should be having these awkward, messy, fussy storytelling sessions about like why we are even where we are and how we got here, you know. And I think vulnerability and people, because we're in a stage right now where just not even the association industry, like across probably many industries, like I'll say right now, unless you're in the virtual events or toilet paper industries, like you're scrappy right now. You know, you're being really scrappy. You know, if you're not in toilet paper and you're not in virtual events, you're digging and you're clawing to find new ways to do business, and you're taking risks. So we are in a really cool time where a lot of small and big businesses are out there taking risks. And I think all the while we're trying these new things, if we can just open up a little bit and talk about what's really going on behind the scenes, I think it can be like, that's going to be the part that touches people's lives.
Really, really meaningful. Wow. And then it goes beyond, it doesn't matter what industry you're in, it goes beyond
Right.
the topic and the space that you're in. And talk about real partnerships and what an experience you build when you're able to be open like that. You talk about taking risks. What's a big risk that you've had to take that you don't mind sharing with our listeners since, you know, in the last couple of months? I'm sure there are many, Teri.
Yeah. So the biggie for me right now, like kind of what's the glaring thing on the platter right now is so back up just a little bit. With Review My AMS, the phone was ringing kind of off the hook. Hey, do you know somebody else in the same buying situation as me? Hey, do you know this vendor? Hey, who can you, I'm like, oh my gosh, can we please just have an event? And get to all you people that need to talk to each other in the same place. And so I was like, okay, well, there's another idea. Let's see if we can make that happen. And so in DC, I held my very first AMS Fest, I don't know, 5 years ago or something. There was like 50 or 75 people there. And now it's grown. And it's, by the way, it was my big girl move that happened before I turned 40. I sold my first business. So that was kind of exciting and sort of ticked the box on like, haha, nene, nene, boo boo. I have 4 brothers and sisters. Like I have 4 siblings. So it's kind of like, hee, look at your sister got. It was just to rub it in their faces. That's all. No, but with that event, it grew, and there was a place and a time for people to meet about a specific situation, which was this association management software and the buying process. And there were some really, really smart people in our space, and I know nothing compared to them. Like I'm just a little tiny blip on the radar, but I can connect these people. And so that's why that event did so well. And it's still doing well. They hold it twice a year, one in Chicago, one in DC, and it's doing great. I will forever be, hopeful that AMS Fest does well, for those of you that are listening, read between the lines there. But I started a new event. I sold that one, and I guess I was bored. No, I'm a glutton for punishment. I wasn't bored. I'm a glutton for punishment. For those of you that have done events are so much work. So I started
time and emotional and mental energy in all of the ways.
Yes, absolutely. And when I hold an event, we have beer and wine at lunch. There's gifts and giveaways, and we have real conversations. When you walk in the room at my event, you walk in like you're walking in my house. And I want to treat every single person as a guest. Every single person that walks in that room has something to give. I don't care if you're an association person or a buyer, if you will. I don't care if you're on the vendor side or the product services side. I don't care if you're a consultant or you don't have a job, and you're just there to learn. Every single person there has something to bring to the table. Everybody has something to give. And so at my events, we don't have badges that have a blue stripe or a purple star. Oh, you're on this side and you're on that side. Like, no, there's none of that bullshit, because because everybody can bring something to the table. As a matter of fact, there are no tables either. There's no like vendor standing beside their table getting ready to give you their perfume smell, sniff test, or their business card, whatever, there's none of that. We can all make a difference in the conversation and contribute to the conversation. So I guess to answer your question, that was like a rabbit trail. To answer your question, I created this event that was supposed to be live in Nashville, Tennessee, May 7th. And that event's called Dues-a-Palooza. And it's a spinoff of the software company that I now own. or co-founded, I guess. And we had 150 people or so registered to come. And of course, COVID. And here we were, March 1st, and tornado came through March 3rd, came through Nashville, destroyed my daughter's school and places downtown. And I mean, then COVID, and it's like a total wreck and just a lot of heaviness, in that time period. And so thank God for the wonderful people of this community. And I can tell you, Louise, I was standing, we were actually on spring break with my kids, and we were at the beach. Sorry, so it doesn't make it actually that, don't feel so sorry for me, but I was standing in the at the porch, the doorway of the porch, and tears just started streaming down my face. And I was like, these people are going to be so disappointed that we can't have this. I'm disappointed. Mm-hmm. I've already forked over $10,000 to the venue. All of the sponsors are going to back out. Like, what am I going to do? Now I'm just going to eat that $10,000. This is really going to suck. Mm-hmm. What am I going to do? And tears and just streamed down my face. I was like, well, time to face the music. Let's get an email out. Let's do a Zoom call with all the sponsors and just tell them what's up. I'm going to try not to cry right now. Not a single one of those sponsors stepped down. There were 12 of them. Not a single one stepped down. I said, Teri, we hear you, we see you, we meet you where you are. You still want to do good, but this event, it's not going to look like what you wanted it to. And as a matter of fact, we're not quitting. We're going to amp it up, and we're going to give you money to do mailers, and we're going to give you our platform so that you can perform these virtual events. And we're going to totally step up our game with this and make this go. And some of them went beyond and got more sponsors to make this thing work. Why I ever doubted this community is just beyond me, Louise.
So I need to jump in here and, say, first of all, what an amazing story. Kudos to you for having the courage to even have that conversation. It goes back to what you were saying right at the beginning of our conversation about vulnerability, right? Yeah. The BS meter would have been going off had you hopped on a call with a different message.
Yeah.
This speaks to what you were saying about real partnerships and the humanness in your approach. And that's, among all the other things that you bring, that's really a gift that you bring to the industry. So you say, I don't know why I doubted the industry partners. It's just as much about what it is that you bring to the equation as what they bring. Like, let's not sugarcoat.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I like to think so. That's very nice and gracious of you to say, but there's also a need in this industry. It's not just because of insert personality. There's a true business need in this industry, and these people do now more than ever need these connections. And really the event is all about how organizations can make more revenue. Okay. Well, with events sunsetting, the association industry is struggling big time, and they haven't had diversified portfolios. It's been all the eggs are in the events basket. Did I say that right? It's all events in the basket, whatever, you know what I'm trying to say. There are actually Teriisms. It's like the cliches getting all mixed up. You guys know what I meant.
I love it.
But it's all the events have been in, that's been their main moneymaker. And now they more than ever need to figure out what are the other ways that they can make revenue outside of events. So now they're really clamoring to get together. And I think the sponsors also really realized that that's the case. Like, needs to happen now more than ever too. So, it's sweet for you to say, but the messenger's the messenger. If the business need isn't there, then it doesn't really.
No, I guess I'm trying to say both existed.
Sure. Yeah.
A big heart without a business case is not gonna fly. Yeah. But it's the uniqueness of your approach and how you marry the two, which I think it's that blend that creates this specialness that we can hear in how you share your story. I want to maybe shift gears somewhat, even though we're just talking about a big obstacle. If we look at, a broader, take a 10,000 foot view, when we think about obstacles in your life in general, what's the biggest obstacle you've had to overcome, and what did it teach you?
So I like to say out loud that I'm not a perfectionist. And that I'm really good at compartmentalizing, I'm one of those, I can visualize, okay, we're going to take the momminess off the shelf, use your mommy powers right now, to put the mommy back on the shelf. Okay, it's podcast time, businesswoman hat on, put it on. And everything has a place, pretty organized and compartmentalized, and each one I can do, but really what I have struggled with is I have what I call buckets. Okay, again, I talked about boxes and shelves a second ago, but those buckets are, girlfriend, mom, sister, lover, entrepreneur or business owner, boss, like my team, partner, speaker, honestly, the list goes on. Runner, whatever you want to, we all have our own lists of the things that we are. Right?
Wine drinker.
Yes. Cheers. I'll cheers to that. We all have these things that we are to all these people, right? Especially when we're just trying a little bit, And I have to remind myself that I cannot be 100% of all of those things at one time. Mm-hmm. And I kind of have to sit back. And this has been really hard for me because I'll tell myself man, I'm really struggling being a good mom right now. This is just, I'm really struggling. I'm really struggling being a good sister right now. My sister needs me. My sister's been there for me, and I'm not being a good sister right now. Or I'm not filling the blank, daughter, and whatever it is. And I could at any given time say, I'm really struggling in one of these areas, and I could beat myself up. And so what I have to do is I have to think intentionally about which ones I can give 100 to now, and address the ones that I can't give 100 to. Okay. So on some days when my calendar is stacked, I have to communicate with my kids. I have to communicate with my neighbors. I want to be a good neighbor, but don't come knocking on my door on this day. I can't be a good neighbor today. I can't actually be a good mom today. I don't say those things out loud to my kids. So sorry, Sid, Ethan, if you're listening, but I don't say those things directly, but I say hey, listen, mom has a stacked calendar, but here's what we're going to do before the night before you go to school. We're going to have steak dinner, and we're going to, because there will be a time when I can pick back up and we can be 100% mom, and that has been really the hardest thing, is taking the things that are priorities of life that I want to be 100% priority all the time, and not give them priority because something else needs priority. That's been just such a real struggle for me. And I can only imagine that other people that are listening have similar experiences and could give me really good advice on how to handle that.
You know what though? I think that, I first of all totally agree. I thank you once again for your own vulnerability in sharing that, because I think that's a disservice that, certainly having only lived life as a woman, I'm going to only speak to women because I don't know about the male perspective, but right. So it might be a man thing too, but certainly with women, there's a whole idea of super mom, and us, right, putting forward an Instagram version of ourselves in all our spaces all the time, not just saving it for Instagram. It does other women a disservice. And so I love that you're willing to share that. And the fact that you have a strategy to check in with yourself and then do something about that to prevent the overwhelm from setting in, instead of just beating yourself up for not doing all the things that you never could have done in the first place.
Right. Yeah. I did really well working out for about a month and a half, and then work started kicking my tail big time. I knew my event was coming on, and I had to tell myself, it's okay. You can't be 100 at everything, Teri. It's okay. you squeeze your walks in with your neighbor and you do what you can do to get them in when you can. It can't be 100 right now, and I have to give myself forgiveness that way, otherwise I'll be a crazy person. You're going to find me in a fetal position in the corner over there.
I think that's a great strategy. And I know that there'll be a listener or two, or maybe more than that, who are ready to hear that from someone else and afford themselves the same kindness. Along a similar sort of vein or theme then, what does success look like for you? Because it's clearly not, yeah. What is it? Share what that means to you.
Oh, what does success look like? Okay. So, one of my favorite lines that I totally stole from my friend Lowell, he says, I want to live life with a drive to succeed and a heart to care. One doesn't trump the other. So yes, do I need to pay the bills? But that's not really what life is about. And I've had to have some check-ins with myself on this recently. I'm $17,000 in the hole, which that probably doesn't sound like a lot to some. For little me, for a brand new event, which I'm creating what we call the MLP, right? The minimum lovable product for my MBAs out there, not the minimum viable product, the minimum lovable product. When you're creating a minimum lovable product, you don't want to be in the hole, at least like this much, right? In my head, I don't want to be in the hole this much. But what I had to say is like, okay, Teri, you're making an investment and you're showing the heart to care this year. Maybe, hopefully it will come back to you in spades next year or the year after. And like, what do you want to be known for? Do you want to be known for folding because the money wasn't there? Or do you want to be known because you had a heart to care and a heart to serve and a heart to connect to people? And so success I love that I sold a business with Triumph before I turned 40 and some other little things here or there, but it's really about making meaningful connections with people. And I like to make sure my kids' braces are paid for at least. But beyond that, it's just so much more.
It reminds me of a book that I read, and I'm not even going to be able to remember the title of it. It was to do with like the dying, last wishes of the dying.
Okay.
Which sounds terrible, and it was terribly difficult to read, but it was written by someone who was a nurse who she believes that she had the good fortune of helping others pass from this world to the next.
Oh, wow.
And she felt compelled to share the top wishes of the dying, which she heard over the span of her career. And not shocking, they weren't wishes of spending more time at the office. We hear these kinds of cliches, right? And so anyone that I speak to on this show have all very similar kinds of comments to you, all with a different flair and a different theme. Sure. And their own sort of heart and spirit to it. But it really is about that. And, I feel like earlier in our careers, we're striving for all of the external accolades, right? To check the boxes that, this shows that we're successful. And really at the end of it all, live a life of a drive to succeed and a heart to care is really what it comes down to. And I can't remember what the top 5 things were. But it was about heart stuff, not Instagram worthy stuff. Yeah,
for sure. My family means a ton to me. My family and my friends. I have friends who are basically like my family.
It's a family you choose. It's a family you choose, right?
Yeah.
One thing that I imagine, not meaning to put words in your mouth, so if this wasn't the case, tell me so, but I imagine that you have felt some fear along the way, being an entrepreneur and a mom. and all the other things that you are in this world. What's one piece of advice that you would like to share about overcoming fear to another professional woman who might be teetering on the idea of starting a business or doing something that's really scary in their world?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I'm not afraid to try new things. You know, I'm one of those where somebody can put a plate in front of me and say, look, try this squirmy, wiggly thing. What do you think? I'm like, I don't know, but okay, I'll try anything once, right? But I understand not everybody's palate, for lack of a better term there, is the same. And so like, how do you overcome the facts? Sometimes it just comes down to the raw facts. Just comes down to the facts. Two things. One, I surround myself with people that are smarter than me. And I surround myself with people, this is still one. Okay. So I know I said and, but this is still part of one. I surround myself with people that are smarter than me. And I surround myself with people who are willing to just tell me like it is. Mm. That's a bad idea. That's a good idea, but it needs some work. Or, hey, that's a cool idea, but let me connect you with so-and-so. Or fill in the blank, because if you're an entrepreneur or anything like me, we have a million ideas, especially when we're drinking wine. We have a million ideas and we want to run with them 100 miles an hour. I mean, there was the reason it, you know, you said founder of Reviewing My Ass, co-founder of 100 Reviews, creator of Non-Delusion, AMS, like really, like I want to run with all these ideas, but I have to surround myself with people who are just going to shoot straight with me. And I have a group of people, there are 7 of us, and we talk almost every single day. And these are my tribe, you know, and they are all over the world, from Australia to Sacramento to DC to Florida. They're all over the place. And we all come from different kinds of backgrounds. So they are what I call my personal advisory board, is what I call them for technical terms. And sometimes if I'm ever in an ethical dilemma, by the way, this is another little rabbit trail. If I'm ever in an ethical dilemma and I kind of don't want to do something, my gut is telling me maybe that's not the best idea, I might shoot it around to this personal advisory board and they'll give me advice. And I'll go back to the situation. I'll be like, my personal advisory board advised for me to not do this or to take it this way or not do that. And there's so much weight to that. Mm-hmm. Like when people hear, oh, your personal advisory board, they think like, oh, wow, okay, she's taking it up a notch. Well, I'm not really going to mess with that, right? Like this is obviously a conglomerate or a group of people that are thinking the same way. But really, I might have just only tapped into like 2 of them and been like, oh my gosh, is this crazy or is this just me? Or should I not do this or should I do this? And then be able to go back to my personal advisory board, you know. The other one would be definitely think like the lean. Like when you're creating, I would say create lean, like start really small and develop valuable partnerships and relationships with the people that are involved. So you want to build high quality. So like when I was doing my virtual event for the one that was held just in August of 2020, a couple weeks ago, the partner that I was working with, she said, so let's get more registrations. Like, what's your goal for this? What are your numbers goal? Like, what are you looking at doing? And I said, the people that have already committed registration for this at $350 or $315, whatever it is, I want to do them a service. I want to deliver more than what they were expecting. If we'd only get one more single registrant out of this whole thing, because I need to start high quality and small, right? You can deliver a lot in a little quantity and test the market, you know, just test the market and find people that can help you help boost it along, right? Make meaningful connections with people that can give you advice along the way. And so it goes back to kind of that MLP, right? Like, you know, bootstrap as much as you possibly can and talk with people that are smarter than you, that'll be honest with you about your ideas.
Oh my
That's
gosh.
how you take risks. risks, right? I don't know. That's how I take risks.
People should be paying to listen to this podcast. There are just gems everywhere for sure. And I personally like the personal advisory board. I'm taking that one away. I'm going, yeah, so thanks for that.
I taught Louise something. Did you hear that?
Thanks for that. Something that I'm passionate about many things. One thing very much in the business world is leadership. I, having worked in HR for 20 years, have just seen far too many poor examples of it. And to be quite honest, it hurts my heart because as a result of poor leadership, a lot of human beings suffer. And so talk to me about leadership. What do you think? What is
simple?
Okay, let's hear it.
You take care of people, people take care of you. If you take care of your people, people will take care of you. That is my motto. My girls would say, she's Mama Tiger when she has to be. She takes care of us. She fights for us. I take care of my team. My team takes excellent care of me. And that's how it works. Simple.
So as you know, I'm writing a book on humanizing leadership. I can just actually do away with my entire manuscript. And that's it.
Right.
The end.
No, my dear.
But I do find it really, we really can boil things down to some really simple concepts, can't we? Mm-hmm. And then figure out how we navigate from there, like what then the action is around that. So that's a treat. One of the things that has me curious, and I imagine other listeners too, is you talked about this personal advisory board. Where did you find these people? You mentioned that they're all over the world. So for other people who are hungry to create their own personal advisory board or whatever they may want to call it, where did you find these folks?
You already know these people, right? Like, you know, right. I'm not saying you, but
no, I understand what you mean.
Anybody,
yes.
Yeah. We already know these people. It's just then logistics.
Yeah.
Like, so these people are already connected with you and care about you and have meaning in your life. Just you kind of maybe connect them with one another, or maybe you start super small. I also have a professional advisory board too. You know, a teacher sits on it, you know, actually a culture person sits on it. People from industry, outside of industry, like I had, you know, they're a professional advisory board too. And that does also help, like, if you think about me running a review site, sometimes there are some ethical dilemmas that I'm in. Like, you know, a vendor might say to me like, oh, hey, this review should come down because of blah, 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 whatever. Right. You know, I have that professional advisory board to go to say, hey, and by the way, the professional advisory board is kind of called on as needed, right? They're like, you are my sounding board. If something in ethical and business pops up, you come from a different world than I do. So hear this situation, give me a new perspective on it, help me digest it. And then I can actually use that and say, like, the professional advisory board, the Review My MS advisory board. And now I'm giving away all these secrets. Hopefully nobody that's heard me say this out loud, my professional advisory board has actually said X, Y, Z. But it does help when you can have sounding boards, especially when ethical situations come up or something that's just not rubbing you right for some reason. I mean, we've all been in situations this way before, especially now. Sensitivities around all kinds of social situations are heightened, right? Like, we can't even say the word mask right now without like a total uproar of different opinions and weird sensitivities popping up all over. You know, so it's really important to kind of have people that you can call on there. So I have the professional ones, which I call on as needed, and they kind of know they're there for that. I've got one that's got like a lawyer mentality. Like, she thinks like a lawyer. She's like, and I know to go to her directly if I have something that seems a little like weird on that side, like, you better watch your back with this, you know, or that. But then on the personal advisory board, these are people that you guys already know. These are your people, and just make a point to check in with them every day. You know, it's kind of that simple, and just keep them top of mind, like they're your people.
It's so clever. It's so, so clever. So it's just reframing the way you look at some of the relationships that already exist.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have a mutual connection, Valerie Gordon, who would call this having, she would call this or refer to it as a cast of characters, cast of supporting characters, right? And so I think we all know of people in our lives. Like I know I've got a friend in particular who, doesn't matter if I'm right or wrong, she will be my cheerleader. She will back me up till, till the all ends of the earth.
Yeah.
And so there are times where you need someone like that. But in business, certainly, well, personal life too, there are times where we need to know who to call and rely on for different kinds of situations we find ourselves in. So clever. So clever.
Well, you have them collectively in one group. So for mine, it just so happens to be there's 7 of us, and that's fine. But it might be 3, or it might be, when you have them all collectively and everybody's able to be open, and you all kind of have a certain role to play, then there is no bullshit, right? Like if they don't feel like, they're not going to just tell you what you want to hear. Like they know they're there for a reason, almost to put bullet holes in whatever idea it is you have for some reason. Yeah, it's important to have those people in your life.
So I've got a silly sort of logistical question. I do feel a little odd asking this, but like, did you formalize it like with them, or did it just like, did you?
We do have a name. We have a name. Okay.
You don't have to give the name. You don't have to. Yeah, we don't have to give
the name.
Yeah,
I won't give the name. Yeah, but like in the beginning of a book that one of them wrote, he used the name in the the 2 or the what in honor of, or what do you say? Not honor of. What do you say in there? You like dedication. You dedicate the book to this group of people.
That's
like this
so cool.
is how beautiful this group of people is.
Yeah.
But we have we just have a Google Hangout. So it's a simple, like we all are basically glued to Gmail in some way, shape, or forms. A lot of us are anyway. So you have the app on your phone and you got the Hangout on your computer, and it's just as simple as, and if somebody doesn't answer in 3 days, 5 days, 10 days, it doesn't matter. It's not like they don't care. It's just we're all busy doing our things, so.
Yeah, I asked about that somewhat selfishly, and just out of, I'm sure there are others who are curious, because I'm a firm believer in that we don't get anywhere alone. And I think that there certainly are folks who think that it's a sign of weakness in needing to ask for help. And so that's why I dug a little bit more into that when you were talking about your advisory boards, because I think it's just so critical, seeing a strong, successful, grounded woman who recognizes that this is part of her success. This is part of your success is by having these people and groups around you.
They could all tell you some crazy stories about Teri. Let me tell you. They got dirt on me. They've seen the worst, and they celebrated the best. So.
That's fantastic. Okay, some slightly different questions here. Self-care is a big thing certainly for me, in what I've been through in my own life, in the executive women that I coach. It's often something that gets, I shouldn't say often, I don't think I can think of one client who I've worked with where self-care has not come up.
Yeah.
What do you do, not necessarily from a self-care perspective perhaps, but to make you feel inspired or like your best self? What makes you feel that way?
So I have something that I like to share with people that I do is somebody shares that they're hurting with me. So I live one block, not even one block, it's like 200 steps to a stream. Okay. So there's a stream out my front door and it's beautiful. I live in Nashville, Tennessee. So it's green and flowing, and there are beautiful rocks and stones and pebbles, and it's like just like you would daydream about a little waterfall stream looking like, honestly. And there's a perfect little nature path. I see deer and fox and raccoon and all kinds of crazy, and beavers and snakes and all the things out there. But about 2 years ago, I had a dear friend that was hurting. And one day I just leaned down and I picked up a stone. And I don't pray to God, you know, everybody has their own thing or whatever, but I needed to verbalize something. I needed to say a prayer. And I didn't care if anything out there heard it or not. I had to get it off of me. And even if it did go to the universe and they embraced my thought that I verbalized or I said out loud, I picked that stone up and I said their name and the reason why that stone was going in that creek for that person. You know, they're hurting because, or be with this person and peace, give peace. There's like 100 stones at the bottom of that thing, like give peace, give it the healing, whatever it is. And so I try every day to go down to the creek and the stream and pick up something, even if it's a teeny tiny little pebble, because every single day we can think about somebody else who's hurting in our lives or somebody that needs something said to the universe to make it right, to fix it. And it's kind of like my little tiny spiritual way of putting things to the universe to try to grant healing, not only for my mind and my peace, because I hurt for other people a lot. But also maybe the universe will take that and do something beautiful with it and change it. And so Louise, actually this morning when I walked out to the stream, I didn't know what it would be in your life that you would need. I just said resolution. That was my word for some weird reason for you. And I threw a stone in the stream for you today and said, whatever Louise needs resolution with, like, just the universe be with her. And that's kind of my self-care. That's kind of how I mentally sort of take care of things that need to get off my chest.
Oh, pardon me while I just swallow a lump in my throat. Well, thank you. I did find out some news yesterday that isn't very good health-wise for a very, very special person in my life. No one else knows other than me, so otherwise I would share who it is, but doesn't get much more other than Jay and my kids. Doesn't get much more special than this, so we are seeking that, so thank you. And what a beautiful way. Giving loving kindness to others actually has been shown even in our brain. The brain science actually shows how it benefits us. So you've just come to that intuitively, and what a beautiful way to ground yourself.
Thanks. It's also good to just do that and then be like, now I don't have to go jogging.
See, this is what I love so much about you, is like you've got this wisdom and you've got the smarts and you're really confident, and then you come out with these things. I wish we had time to talk about the story when you and I were on a call once.
I am sandwiched between an older brother and a younger brother. I had no choice but to be on my toes.
I love it. It's awesome. Okay, so I have a few rapid fire questions. Are you ready?
Okay. Yeah. I don't know.
Your voice said go, and your face, for those who are watching the video, said no. But we're gonna go. So, what advice would you give to your younger self?
Read more.
What does the world need more of?
I'm not allowed to say what I really want to say.
Why? Say it.
No. The world needs more people to love on other people. Okay. That's good. I like that one.
Yeah, I like
the first thing that came to my mind, really.
Yeah, I love that. So friends, go throw your rock for
others,
right? And then do you have, actually no, I'm going to change this question. What's on your bedside table right now? I'm meaning book-wise. It's Is this
The
something
art of
that
gathering, the art of gathering.
okay.
But also when you said that, I was so excited because I got new bedside table lamps and they're touch, like it can touch it and it can go up like the lighting and down. And so I was excited to tell you that. So
Oh,
sorry.
that's actually a real treat because sometimes I close my eyes and the lamp seems so far away to try and reach up and twist it
Right.
off.
Yeah. No.
We're at the top of the hour, but before we go, I want to give you the chance or the opportunity to share with my listeners how they can reach you, how they can connect with you, how would they find out more about you. Can you share that? And I'll make sure it's in the show notes.
Sure. So Teri Carden. You know what? I give out my phone number. I do. 850-491-1390. I am open. I do that at the top of all of my events. And when you walk in the room and you're at my event, my phone number is everywhere. You can text me. I don't care if you want to cry, commiserate, celebrate. Like, I am here for you. You can reach me at my personal email, teritally, teritally @gmail.com. And you can find me all over the place. Review my ams.com, 100reviews.com is my newest startup, and running an event called Dues-a-Palooza.com.
You are amazing. Teri. Thank you so, thank you so much just for sharing, for sharing all of the gems that you dropped, and just for your kind heart and your most importantly, your time that you spent with me today.
You made this so easy, Louise. You made it so easy. She's so good, isn't she, guys? Y'all listening? This woman has it. She made this so easy. And you can do it too. Louise, thank you for your time, for your kindness. And, you know, for people that bring people together in a meaningful way, I started saying this and I really do mean it. Like, thanks for being the glue. You know, you bring this community together in a really meaningful and special way. And I just want to say thank you for being the glue. I told somebody that holds this coffee chat every morning, I told her that the other day, and she goes, oh, but I'm the sparkly glue. So if you want to be, thank you for being the sparkly glue, I'll say thank you for being the sparkly glue, not just the glue.
I love it. I'll be the sparkly glue. I will take that, and I take that with a lot of gratitude. Thank you, Teri. And thanks, of course, to all of you for tuning into today's show. And I invite you to contact me directly at louisehreed.com. And Teri style, I'm going to give you my number. You can text me, call me, 613-277-1859. If you have any questions or want to talk about coaching, speaking engagements, or leadership consulting, let's all live inspired, grow together, and be brave, be bold, and be happy. Until next week, I'm Louise H. Reed, wishing all of you an amazing day. And in the words of Teri and a friend of hers, live a life. I'm messing it up. Live life with a drive to succeed and a heart to care. And I'm sorry, Teri, but there you go, friends. Have an awesome day and see you next week.
Thanks, Louise.